We were in top two for 5 years. We were in Europe every year. We went to 4 FAI Cup finals in the National Stadium. Won 2 of them. Won the double. I wish I was managing teams in Europe every year, Shelley.
Give us an idea of the work required to create champions. Great to speak to you, John.
Yes, and to you, Charlene.
Irish football is growing more and more every year, as Dundalk showed by competing in Arsenal's Europa League group. You're one of the legendary Irish club managers to play a part in European Cup pre-qualifiers. How did these European nights feel?
Yeah, they're very special nights, and it's brilliant for the manager, brilliant for the players and supporters. I suppose, if you look around the world, you look in the UK, there's thousands of players that never get an opportunity to play in Europe. And thankfully, in our league here, if you're in the Premier Division and you win the cup, or you come in the top 3 of the league, you qualify for Europe. So, I've been fortunate as a manager. We've played in Sweden, Estonia, Belgium, Norway, Cyprus, brilliant places, and going up against clubs that financially are much bigger than you. And but also it tests your players, playing against players that play at a higher level. And Dundalk did exceptionally well by qualifying for the Europa League group stages, which is unusual for an Irish club. Dundalk did it previously about 4 years ago, and Shamrock Rovers did it before that. But it would be great over here if we could have teams in Ireland that would qualify for the Europa League stages every year. But it's difficult because finance is difficult over here, and invariably we lose our better players to the UK. And so it's hard for a lot of the clubs to build momentum year on year. But certainly from my own point of view, being a manager of teams that have played in Europe, I wish I was managing teams in Europe every year, Shelley.
You've won back-to-back FAI Premier League titles before. Give us an idea of the work required to create champions.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is that any manager, you must work very hard. To have any success, you have to have hard work. You have to have really good staff that have the same ethic, that are loyal. Football can be one of those games where loyalty isn't something you see with a lot of management teams, and you have to have it, and you do with the successful management teams. But also at the same time, you have to assemble good players, and you have to work with players. And I love working to make players better. I love working to make a team better, and I concentrate a lot on that. And I have very good coaches around me, but certainly you need a lot of positive people working hard right throughout the club. And you can't entertain negative people, negative thoughts. And if you have that in your team or in your club, it just sucks the positivity out of it. And so you have to have good people, and ultimately you have to work hard. And if you have that, then you have a chance.
You were and still are a serial winner in Ireland in both FAI, Premier League and Cup competitions. Why did you turn down rumoured interest from other clubs?
I think for myself, I look at the club, the structure, where I think the club could get to. And I suppose there has to be a willingness on everyone's behalf. If I was getting involved, if they want success. And people will always say they do want success, but words are cheap. Actions are what determines whether a club gets success or not. And I just feel that when I met a number of clubs, it had to be right for myself, that I felt it was a genuine, I suppose, drive to make the club successful. And when I met Galway and the Galway board at the end of August, I felt that there was a real enthusiasm amongst the board to really drive the club on. Obviously, it's up to me to put the structure in place, build a team, and hopefully get the results on the pitch, because that's what determines your job. But at the same time, you know, in the background, I've got tremendous support, and you need that because it's not only financial, it's all areas of the club, running it from the medical side to the SNC to the academy, and to the supporters, to the sponsorship. You know, everything you must row in together. And you know, if you get that enthusiasm in the club and you get people pulling the right way, you have a chance. And that's why at the moment I felt that coming to Galway was a good move for me.
How would you sum up your time at Cork City FC?
Yeah, well, it was fantastic. I was lucky that as a player, I played over 600 competitive games for the club. So I was there over 15 seasons. So I knew the club quite well. And so it was, I suppose, a dream for me to then become the manager a number of years later. And, you know, in my term of, you know, five and a quarter years, or five and a bit years, we were in top two for 5 years. We were in Europe every year. We went to 4 FAI Cup finals in the National Stadium, won 2 of them, won the double. Were, you know, so and plus the fact brought an awful lot of players through, and who bettered themselves. You know, I think we had 13 players that went across to the UK, you know, in the time I was there, and they've all done really well at different levels. And but it was just you know, the sheer satisfaction of having some nights 6,000-7,000 people coming into our games at home, and the incredible media attention that we were getting, and just a fantastic time and real roller coaster. But I loved every minute of it. Thankfully, most of the time that I was there was successful, you know. But in the end, in my 6th season, the team changed. Our results weren't as good as they had been, and you know, as a manager, you pay the price if you lose a couple of games, and you have been very successful. You know, people want to move you on, and that's the way it is. And but overall, it was just an incredible time. And I suppose there's nowhere when I first started would I've thought we'd have achieved the success that we did have. But I loved every minute of it, and you know, that's why I was anxious to get back in with a club that would maybe be similar and might suit my style. And you know, Galway is a club with one club in a big city, and huge fan base if it's successful. If you're not successful, you won't get anyone to watch you. So it's my job to try and make the club successful.
Were you surprised that Cork City were relegated?
I was. Very disappointing. Obviously, I'm gone a few years from the club. Certainly, a club like that, I don't believe should have ever got relegated. But like that again, if you change structures, change systems, don't fundraise enough, don't bring enough of revenue, and a club starts slipping, it can be very, very hard to stop it. And you know, everyone could throw all the blame on the manager, but to be fair, it's a lot bigger picture than that. And overall, there was lots of things happening in the club that changed quite quickly. And as I said, when you start falling down the table, it can be like the same thing as a momentum going forward. When you're winning games, it can be the same thing. But certainly, it was very disappointing for the club to get relegated. And you know, certainly they'll be anxious to bounce back as quick as possible. But you know, I don't believe they should have been in the first division.
Managers like Brighton's Graham Potter were picked from lower league foreign clubs. With this in mind, would you consider working exclusively in the English Football League or the Premier League, and why?
Yeah, I would absolutely. I would love to work in football and stay in football and work in the UK, absolutely, or Scotland. You know, certainly, if those opportunities came up, would I be interested? Of course I would. Very hard though for some of the clubs there to take a chance on. You know, they like taking chances on the foreign managers, but they don't like taking chances on managers over here. Even though you know, we're fully qualified. I have my pro license. We're upskilling all the time. I would visit football clubs before COVID quite a lot, different clubs in the UK and Scotland and Europe, upskilling. And yeah, you always want to test yourself. You always want to be better, and you always want to improve teams, improve players. So certainly, yes, that's an area that I certainly would look at if the opportunity came up. But nowadays there's so many ex-footballers out of work. Sometimes I see, particularly in the UK, it's easier to appoint someone that they've had before, or that are in the area and are living in that area, as opposed to, there's not many Irish managers from here that have got the opportunity to go across. Some have got the opportunity to go to Scotland, but very few have got the opportunity to go to the UK. And it is surprising, because there's some excellent managers and coaches, I believe, over here.
As you've shown. Where is Irish football at during this current period?
Yeah, we switched about 20 years ago to summer football. We were the old season from August to May, but we switched to the Scandinavian season, as they call it, where we start in February and we finish in November. Due to COVID this year, we've delayed the season by a month. So we're going to start at the end of March and finish at the end of November. So it's been a little bit different. We're all hoping that we'll have a full season this year. Last year we cut the season in half. So this year we're hoping we'll have a full season. And, so we made that switch a number of years ago because during the summer months, the weather is better. It entices bigger crowds. And plus the fact as well that for the teams that are in Europe, you're ending up playing in Europe in late June, July, and you're halfway through your season. So you've already 20 games under your belt. So it gives you a better chance to progress. So that was the thinking behind it. And so as a manager, playing summer football is fine, and it's worked reasonably okay over here.
The Republic of Ireland national team has seen a downturn in recent years. Why do you think this is?
Yeah, good question. I suppose if you go back possibly 20, 30 years ago, those times our top players were playing with Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, the big clubs in England. And, you had the likes of Roy Keane, Paul McGrath, Damien Duff, Robbie Keane. So we've gone through that cycle at the moment where a lot of our players aren't with the big teams anymore. I think Seamus Coleman is with Everton. He's probably the one. But we have a lot of young players coming through. Underage, we've been quite strong. We've a lot of young players coming through, but it does take time to release their potential, and we need them to start getting into the bigger clubs in the UK. And so hopefully it'll turn around. We have a new manager, Stephen Kenny, who's gone in, and he's had a difficult start, but hopefully over the next 12 months things will change. And sometimes it goes in cycles, but at the moment we don't have any Roy Keane, we don't have any Robbie Keane, we don't have any Damien Duff, Paul McGrath, and hopefully we'll have over the next number of years the young players will come through. But it is a challenge. There's no guarantees that they will, but certainly I'd be optimistic that that would happen maybe over the next 12 to 24 months.
In your first few months at your new club, Galway United, you reached the First Division playoffs for an immediate return to the Premier League. How did you manage this over such a short period of time?
Yeah, well, I think we came into the club, they hadn't won a game, they were second last, and there was a lack of confidence amongst the players, amongst the team. And I suppose we just, again, got into hard work, working with the players, trying to bring their confidence out. Maybe there was an element of a number of players feeling sorry for themselves. Also, sometimes when a new manager comes in, players that mightn't have been playing see this as an opportunity for them to get back into the team. And so I suppose my experience of dealing with people and dealing with the team and working hard, and I got a fantastic reaction when I went in. And then we started winning matches, and won the snowball effect. When we won the first game, we won the second game, then we won the third game. And ultimately, out of 10 games, I think we won 8, and we went into the playoffs, and then we won the semi-final playoff. And ultimately, we lost in the final of the playoff. But we had done fantastically well, and it just showed the potential that was in the club. And I suppose sets me up for this season, hoping that, we can go one better this season.
Tell us about the Galway United project.
Yeah, well, I think like all managers, when they take over a club, they all say what they're going to do or what they're going to try to do, and most of them it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way. But for me, I'm just hoping that I can, I'm putting new structures into the club. I'm hoping I can, release that potential and the ambition that the club has to try and get back to the Premier Division. But the club has been down for a long time. It got relegated about 5 years ago, sorry, but it hasn't done well for a long time. So I suppose I've come in to try and build the club up, put structures in place, bring it into a full-time setup. It hadn't been full-time, and I have experience in that, and get things set up that it's a full-time club and we act that way, and the players train that way, and the structure of the club are geared that way. So that's what I'm trying to do, and obviously get the club promoted. And if we get promoted, then trying to bring them then to maybe success, like getting into Europe, stuff like that. But at the same time, Charlene, in 12 months' time, if the results aren't good, any manager nowadays, you're not kept on too long if the results aren't good. So, it is a pressurized game, and it's up to me to deliver results, and that's what I've been brought here for. So, you can have all the best plans in the world, but you have to win games. And if you win games and you get promoted, well, very good, then you can build on it. But that's what I have to do. So this season is all about seeing, can we get promoted?
What do you think of the English national team?
Yeah, I think it's a really good team, a really exciting team. I think there's huge pressure from the media always about English teams, and when they get to tournaments, they never do well. Well, sorry, they have got to semi-finals a couple of times, but they've never won anything. And but I think when you look at the type of players that have coming through, Grealish, Rice, Saka from Arsenal, Harry Kane up top, they've really talented players, and obviously the game in the UK has changed style-wise, and the team are able to build up the play and are a lot more comfortable doing that, playing more like the European teams. But certainly, I think with Southgate in charge, he's been low key. He's done really well, and I think it's probably the one time now that these English players can probably handle the pressure and probably have the style of play that could possibly bring them to the stage where they could win a Euros. So time will tell, but certainly it looks a lot more positive than it might have done previously, even though there was a lot of hype with teams previous to this. But I think this team is more suited for success.
Oh, well, thank you so much today, John.
Yes, Charlie, great to talk to you.
I'm wishing you all the best with your season ahead.
Yeah, thank you.